Alrighty, welcome back to the weight room. Joining us today is special guest Ryan Milton of Team Flex. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you can find podcasts, including YouTube. And other than that, enjoy the episode.
All right, man. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to be here for sure. Appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. If you just want to introduce yourself a little bit, who you are, a little bit about what you do, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so my name's Ryan Milton. I'm the founder, owner of Team Flex. We do fitness coaching and pretty much for all types of goals, lifestyle, as well as competitors. We're worldwide with that. Been doing that. It's not only me, it's just me and a team of coaches, actually. So we have a pretty good staff. We got a lot of clients. We've done a lot of stuff around the world over the past year. So that's kind of the, in general overview.
What really motivated you to want to start something like that up?
Yeah, so actually, I started coaching a long time ago, the traditional route, right? A personal trainer in a gym. So my first job was actually in a gym after I'd gone through one of my own fitness journeys, right? So the beginning of my journey, I actually lost about 100 pounds. Okay, so I used to be, obese in what, for lack of a better word there, and lost 100 pounds, decided I wanted to get into fitness. This is when I was younger. So became a front desk staff at a gym. That was my first job. Then I really wanted to become a trainer. So while I was doing that, I was studying to become a trainer. And so eventually became a trainer. I'm fast forwarding a lot of years, but, at that point, then I decided, a long time ago that online training seemed to be a better way to do it to me, like, okay, how do we get more people, more results? Because I'm sitting here at the gym doing 8-hour days, sometimes 10-hour days on a weird split, starting at 4, going till 8 at night with a bunch of weird breaks. How do I train more people? How do I help more people? Right. And so that's kind of when I dived into the online coaching world and started Team Flex at that point. Really, it's gone through some different name changes, but that's when we started that to say, all right, how do we get online? How do we help more people? And, that's been probably 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago now. So it's been a while we've been doing the online thing.
Going from the gym to the online side, what kind of struggle did you kind of have at first with that? The whole, I mean, I know a lot of people prefer the online, but some people still, they prefer to the face to face. What kind of I guess answer maybe would you have for somebody that says it's not as personal?
Yeah. So the thing I would say about that, the struggle getting on there first off for me was nobody was doing the online thing back then, right? It was like very hard to even tell people about it. I remember telling all my colleagues, all of my, coworkers, I guess you could say, when I was working at the gym that I was going to go online. I was going to quit the day gig, do all that, start my own thing. Everybody told me that I knew, literally everyone that could possibly tell me, clients, everybody said it was crazy, would never work, would never become a thing. So I was kind of, up against it at the time from the start, because there was not even a lot of other people doing any form of online coaching at that time either. So it wasn't even like you could look to this guy who did it or that woman that did it successfully and be like, all right, well, it's possible. So it came down to me figuring out what are the gaps, right? What are the gaps we have as trainers in the industry face to face? Okay. Because, we might be training people, we might be working with people, but we're talking about most of the time hour-long sessions. So we're talking about 1 hour for whatever amount of time that these people can afford to buy, really, right? Because some people might come to the gym for a trainer only 1 day a week. Some people might do 3. Some maybe people, they have more disposable income. They can come 5, 6 days a week, but that's very rare in the industry, right? Like that's not a normal thing. Most people are doing a session here or there. And so what's going on the other time that they're not at the gym, right? What's going on while they're, off on their own the other 6 days a week doing all that? How do we, perfect that? How do we actually get results for people if we only see them, here and there? So that became where I said, all right, how do we formulate, the online training experience? And that really came down to me saying, all right, well, we have to have a full focus on workouts that happen, throughout the week. So we need to know what's going to be programmed, what you're going to be doing. And the same goes with your nutrition. How do we get your nutrition in there too? So that, I'm not giving you just workouts and you run around on your own, eating, a ton of pizza and doing whatever and expecting to get results, So that came down to that. And then the interactiveness, right? That kind of gets the thing with a lot of online coaching is coaches do it in kind of what I'll say is the old school form of online coaching, where they're emailing back and forth. They're doing like a PDF program. Here's a program, go do it. Tell me once a week via email how it went. Well, I took it to the next level with that. And we actually do all our coaching through an app, right? Which is becoming more popular now. More trainers are doing it, but nobody was doing it back then. Where, you log into your app and you can see the workouts we've programmed for you. You can see your nutrition we've programmed for you. You can see everything with video instruction. You can track your sets, your reps, your weights, your progress pictures, message your coach directly. At the end of the day, going from, I used to train in gyms a lot, to now I'm doing the online only. I will tell you, I'm more engaged in my athlete's life now, more engaged in my client's life now, because of that ability to actually keep contact literally 30 days out of a month versus, here's an hour here and there.
How do you first develop and kind of develop that trust before those initial 30 days, or even before that first meeting?
Yeah. So I think it comes down to a lot of different assets, and it would be individual for each person, but let me try to give you some kind of answer here. So basically what I think, it really comes down to is, honestly, your experience, your credit, right, that you could have. So if you're somebody who's been a trainer before and you've had experience with clients and you know that you can get them results, online is just another facet, another way to do that, right? Like, you can get out there and do the same stuff you've done. As long as people can do it, then it's going to get the same result. And so that's one way to do it. If you have experience, you can use that credit for sure. So for me, one thing I did initially right out the gate that nobody does today still, like, I swear we're still one of the only online coaches doing this, is a free trial. Okay. So I've offered that since I started this business, 7 days. Hey, come in, try out my coaching app. I'm going to coach you just like, any of the clients that we have that are paying. We're going to take you on the same exact way. You're going to go through a consultation where I'm going to learn about you, your goals, how many days a week you want to go to the gym, what kind of stuff you eat, and, you have injuries, all this stuff that I need to know to build the best program. And then I'm going to show you for 7 days what I would tell you to do. Here's the exercises that I'd say. Here's how the app works. Here's this example, message me with questions, do all that. And once you kind of intro people and show them what's possible in the online world, it, a lot of times will open the door in their mind that says, okay, it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be the old school way where it's brick and mortar gyms and we go there all the time. And, I will tell you, man, people have been hesitant for a long time, and they still are, about online coaching. But I think, this last year, with everything that's gone on, gyms closed around the world and all that, a lot of people learned what's actually possible when you can bring your own discipline and your own motivation. So online coaching, I will tell you, is not something that can work for everybody. If you're the person that literally can't exercise and can't eat right, without physically going to a gym and hiring a trainer 7 days a week, all that, it's probably not going to work for you. But if you're somebody that can get self-motivated and you need the right direction, the right guidance, and you got, a coach that can give you the guidance, tell you what to do, give you the kick in the ass when you need it, then you're going to be able to actually get there and you're going to be able to get things done. And once you start seeing the actual progression and the progress and the things that are happening, that becomes the factor that continues to pull you forward.
Jumping back in time, you talked about you lost 100 pounds, you were, you went to the gym, and so let's talk a little bit about that motivation to want to start losing that weight and to get healthier.
Basically what happens is, it's kind of like one day you wake up and you're not where you thought you were, like, that's how I'll put it. Like, all of a sudden, I don't remember, really gaining a bunch of weight or getting to the point, because I was like, this is when I was like in high school, man. So a long while ago now. And I was like almost 300 pounds, at whatever age I would have been, middle of high school. I can't really remember, 15, 16, somewhere in there. And, it's like one day I just looked in the mirror. I was like, what the heck's going on here? Where did this come from? And the interesting thing is that's what happens to a lot of people, right? Because it's not an overnight where you gain a bunch of weight, and it's not an overnight where you're going to lose it either, but you don't really notice day to day sometimes exactly what you're doing, right? And so you get a little bit here, a little bit there. One day you wake up and you're like, what's going on here? And so that kind of realization really came down to me saying, all right, why am I here? This is not where I want to be. And, I can pin it down to a moment actually for you. So weight training in high school, that's fitness class, whatever, gym class. I took an extra one because I wanted to learn how to lift weights back then. And we do initial stats in that class in the beginning. That's at least how they did it. Weigh in, take a body fat measurement, do all that so you can see progress. And when I'm in there, this is where I really realized I was, a little bit, beyond where I should have been, was when every other person in that group was weighing in at a certain area, had the certain body fat percentage, and I was 100 pounds above that. I had, double the body fat. I was in a different spot. And I was like, okay, that's That's an idea, the first metric. And then, once I really started thinking about it, I realized I was out of shape, and I realized I had let myself get to a place that I didn't even really understand I could get there. And it was really just from lack of information, right? I didn't know, okay, don't eat these things. I didn't know, okay, you got to exercise like this. I didn't know any of those things back then. So it came down to not having enough info and getting to a spot where I was like, okay, well, now what do I do? And so the motivation really for me came from realizing, all right, I'm not doing my best. How do I do better? And understanding like it's not going to be an overnight thing since I have none of the information.
Gotcha, gotcha. Were you a more like a sporty kind of person that just, got out of weight, or was that just kind of like an introduction into that whole world?
Yeah, so the truth is I hated high school, man. I hated school. I hated the whole, go to math class, do all this stuff. So I was looking for any other way to get credits that would get me, out of doing all that. So I was like, all right, I'll take another PE class. So I don't have to take Spanish or something like that. But I was not an athlete by any means, man. I actually have a metal plate in my head right here. So I was unable to play a lot of sports as a kid or do anything. Because I was basically just a liability. So they wouldn't let me join, the football team. They wouldn't let me play baseball. They wouldn't let me do things like that. So I joined the weight class literally to get some extra credits, get a little extra knowledge. And then all of a sudden, I was falling in love with the process of it, figuring out how to do things, figuring out why my body's working the way it does, figuring out how to lose weight and get on your nutrition, everything. I mean, I literally, when I started this, I absorbed as much knowledge as I could, man. Like the term I always say is become a sponge, just taking as much knowledge as you can, even if it's not necessarily stuff that you would agree with or you think. The more that you can read, the more that you can study, the more that you can learn, you'll start to draw your own conclusion from the stuff that you take in. And so that's really what I did. And that's honestly how I ended up eventually, carving out a lot of the methods we use today for the coaching I do.
That's really cool. What type of training did they have you doing?
Yeah, so vaguely remember. I mean, it was a lot of just honestly learning the basic lifts and some basic sheets. I would say it was probably, I'm not going to lie to you, these guys that were teaching it, now that I know everything I know, they didn't know what they were talking about. But you're doing stuff with barbells for sure, basic lifts, deadlift, squats, bench press, big bench press. I mean, you could tell these guys were, they came up in one of the Gold's gyms or something where benching was everything back then. But yeah, it was a lot of barbell work. I would say more bodybuilding style exercises, 3 sets of 10, stuff like that, curls, all that kind of stuff, where it's just a new exercise every now and then. You were learning in a new protocol and kind of understanding the phases where sometimes you're doing heavier, sometimes you're doing lighter, things like that. It was a lot of just I would say almost like a gym bro class, if I could put it that way. You just no real education, no real knowledge, but like, let's lift some stuff up and see what happens.
That's another big thing is like you said, the information, the education, getting people that good information is such a big thing. And you would think with the kind of problems and struggles we're having with childhood obesity and childhood, diabetes, all these things that are, health related, fitness related, a lot of times, that we would implement these things in school now. And it's just like crazy and mind blowing to me that we haven't really done a great job of that. So from your end, from your business end, what kind of things do you have in place to kind of help educate your clients?
Yeah, so education is a huge part of the process. I mean, I think that it's the number one thing. I've said it time and time again, like my number one goal is to have educated one of my clients or some 10 of them, whatever, 100 of them so much that eventually they're like, hey, man, I don't need you anymore, bro. I learned enough. I know what I'm doing. I'm on my own now. Like that'd be the greatest gift to me, because then that means that I have literally help somebody so much understand exactly what they're doing that now they can handle it themselves. However, I'm always learning more stuff and put more in. So, who knows if we'll ever get there, but that's the goal. The idea is that, because I think that at the end of the day, you can only do what you have the information to do. Okay. And that comes down to a few things. Obviously, if you got a trainer, you got a coach, you got somebody telling you what to do, you can shortcut that process because you're paying them, right? Or you have them in your corner showing you what to do. But what happens if you don't have that coach anymore? What happens if you don't have that trainer? What if you got to cancel for one reason or another? Now you are sitting in a spot where, okay, I was doing this before, but why was I doing it? And I had this meal for that meal, but I don't know why I did it. And what's it going to do if I do this versus that. I see this all the time with people that come get our coaching. They come, they've been hiring trainers for 10 years sometimes, and they don't know the basics of, macros, for example, proteins, carbs, fats, all that, how calories work. They don't understand it. They don't know when, they should be doing these lifts versus that lift. And it's crazy to think people could get to such a high level of fitness sometimes. Because I'm even talking about competitors, even, they get to such a high level of fitness, but they don't understand the facts and the science behind how they got there. And so what is it really worth then at the end of that, right? Is it worth, the idea that you don't really know and you didn't understand, or should you be in a spot where, yeah, you need to know as much as you can know for yourself, but also because you can share that knowledge, you can show more people, everything that they need to know to get somewhere. And so, I think at the end of the day, that's where we have this thing, like you're talking about the schools and you're talking about all that. And, a lot of diseases really from lack of health and fitness, it comes down to the fact that a lot of people don't invest enough into actually understanding these processes. They don't invest enough into knowing why nutrition is the way it is, or, how to train, or how your body even works. I mean, basic anatomy and stuff like that. People, they just kind of blank it out. And I think if people spent more time invested in that, we'd have a whole different world. Because once you know things, right? Like I'm sure you can say from an example for yourself, once you know something and you see somebody doing something, is not in their best interest, you're like, okay, I gotta help this person. I gotta tell them something. Or maybe that's just the trainer in me, right? But like, that's what I've literally dedicated most of my entire career in our business to. I mean, I'm giving out, if you go to our social medias, I'm giving out free knowledge 24/7 on these things, stuff that you would have to go pay some guy for somewhere else. I'm telling it to you for free because I want you to have the knowledge. I want you to have the info. I want you to know something, have a different perspective. And so when we take our clients in, it's literally every process. I'm always asking every day. I must type this 1,000 times on my computer. Hey, let me know if you have any questions. Any questions on this? Was this clear? Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying? What more do you want to know? Because I will say everybody's invested differently. Everybody wants, to go to a certain point. Maybe some people don't want the full anatomical trainer talk like me and you could have, but they do need to understand, the basics to at least get it done. Because I fully believe you can't really go and do the work until you understand the reason why behind it.
The why is very important. And even if you have a trainer, like you say, it's still important to understand, because why not understand and be, dedicated to your own health, your own fitness. Personal training is one of those cool things, because there's not too many things in life where you can have a professional mentor, with you there that has such great information, hopefully at least to help you along. And why not take advantage and not just, like you said earlier, become a sponge.
Yeah. And on that note, it's another thing where I think you got to meet people where they're at, right? Every client is different. Some people, they might be like how I started, 100 pounds overweight, maybe more. And they're coming in the gym. The last thing they need to know is how, every muscle in your body works. The first thing they need to know is whatever's going to get them to the gym every day, right? And how do you get that motivation to them? How do you get that motivation to change all of their nutrition, just change their mind? And I think it's all, very individual to each person, where you might have, a competitor that's a seasoned competitor, something like I coach, where they've been doing this for years. They definitely want to know each and every muscle. They want to know why we're doing carbs here and there. And they want to know when the cardio's coming, how to do all this stuff, So you got to meet people where they are. And, from that point, understand every single person's on their own different part of their journey, and wherever they're at. I think that's where a good coach comes in. How do you be a coach that can show the person, teach the person, make sure investing in the person to help them later have invested in themselves?
Yeah, definitely agree there. And you mentioned working with competitors, and I think that's a very cool thing, because it's somebody that is definitely dedicated. It's somebody that's definitely going to try to put in everything, and it's very obviously fun for a personal trainer when the client is at that level and at that level of dedication. So what got you into that kind of person, the competitor?
Yeah. So as my career had advanced back when I was training in gyms, I ended up getting into a lot of different, more kind of rehabilitation type training, I guess you could say, being like a strength coach, taking people that had different injuries, trying to work through them, doing a lot of different stuff like that. I'm a corrective exercise specialist. I have a bunch of other certifications too, but, just kind of applying a lot of deep science to training. So instead of like, hey, come into the gym, let's do curls because you want curls, like how do we actually make your life better? How do we actually make your body feel better? How do we get you these results, but also you have, good function. You can play with your kids without blowing your back out, that kind of stuff. So I got into a lot of that. And when I started on the online world, a lot of the people that were initially open to online training was not the average everyday gym goer, right? Because it was such a new thing, a weird idea. But competitors kind of have already been used to that type of training for a long time because, even if they're working with a coach in the gym, they're still more so getting, coaching outside of that. They're getting a meal plan to follow or some type of nutrition. They're getting supplementation plans. They're getting, other stuff. Hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z, even though we're not meeting, and come back and we're going to meet again Monday, that kind of thing. So competitors were people that were receptive early on. And I looked at it and I said, okay, look at all these competitors, what are they doing? What kind of stuff do these people do to get where they're at, right? Because like, how could I make that better is really what I was thinking. And then I started diving into the competitor coaching world, and it's come up a lot, but it was crazy back then, man. Like a lot of stuff that people do or did and still do, honestly, in some cases, as far as what I would even consider unhealthy practices, like a lot of peak week protocols, dehydration protocols, doing a lot of stuff like that, too much cardio, too much, weight training, not enough calories, all this kind of stuff where I was like, okay, this is crazy. People are even doing this. There's so many better ways and we could get better results. And you would have to do less of this crazy stuff, get no side effects, like hormone problems, metabolic problems, other issues that can come with doing really extreme training like that. And you can do it in just a better way. So let's do it. And that's really when I dived into training competitors, started putting competitors through, my own methods at that point and saying, all right, I'm not going to do what I saw, Arnold do in his encyclopedia or any of these other guys. I'm going to put people through what I think is best based on my own kind of methods and what I've learned actually working in, health settings. And so from then on, that's really where I started to build those things out. And we've just kind of grown it since.
That's really interesting to hear because a lot of people they'll read other people's stuff, which is definitely good to learn from other people, but they'll just straight out implement exactly what they're using, and a lot of times they won't give credit to where where they got it. They'll say, this is my method, this is what works, and it's a very slippery slope because you definitely, like I said, want to learn from other people, and especially people who've done it well, but the same time, you need to, as a trainer and as a professional, you need to, figure out what is going to work for you, but also what's going to work for that individual person. Because, like you said, Arnold might do something that works great for Arnold, but you know what? That's not going to work great for 99% of everybody else. It's just everybody's different. Everybody's genes, everybody's commitment, everything's different. So you have to, as a trainer, you have to be willing to not basically just steal somebody else's program and then apply it to them.
Yeah, and that's honestly, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a big concern about the online coaching game, right? That's why a lot of people are skeptical over it, because initially it was a lot of just that, right? Like I was doing it not that way at all. I never did that. I've always built every program, custom to each person, personalized to the nth degree. Like I'm learning these people as I'm building stuff, and I'm adjusting constantly, making sure it fits, because I've always come from the perspective, what works for me, probably what doesn't work for you, and I've seen that once you've trained enough people, there's some basics like, yeah, should people do squats? Probably. I mean, everybody can do some form of a squat. Should people do deadlifts? Yeah, sure. But does that mean that, every single program that you could ever create would be ideal for everybody? And the answer is no. I mean, everybody has their own unique DNA, right? We don't have any identical twins, even like genetic DNA wise, even if we have an identical twin. So it's like a thing where, why would you give people the same program and expect, great results with it? But that's what a lot of people did. And in the social media world, unfortunately, it's an unchecked world where you don't have to have a certification. You don't have to be actually have any experience. You could literally say, I lost 15 pounds and I hired a trainer. Here's the plan they gave me. I'm going to sell it to you now. DM me for plans. And that's what kind of saturated a lot of the coaching world, in the online thing in the beginning, that gave it almost this bad reputation to say, all right, well, that stuff doesn't work, because you're basically just getting generic plans that don't work, that were regurgitated by somebody that paid somebody else for it. Right. And so the thing about coaching is, it's no different than if you had an in-person trainer. You need somebody that's invested in you, somebody that's going to take time, take a lot of energy, take a lot of, just overall everything to get you where you need to be. And you can do that in person in a gym. Absolutely. You can also do it, in an online form. And so I think that that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day, is understanding the generic stuff doesn't work. I mean, you got to do custom for you. And that's why I'm always telling people, hey, anybody that asks me, even if they're never going to hire, Team Flex or anybody else for that matter, if I'm giving advice to somebody, I'm saying this: don't Google your way to fat loss. Don't Google your way to muscle building. Don't Google, don't go on Google and be like, hey, fat loss diet, and then find the first one that comes up and start doing that and expect great results. I mean, there's something for everybody, but you know how many dang diets there are on the internet? I mean, you could spend the rest of your life probably, if you started today, by the time you're 90, you still won't have read every diet that's out there on the internet, because there's so many. So at the end of the day, you got to figure out, hey, how do I invest in myself, get myself a trainer, get myself a coach, somebody that can take their experience and shortcut it for me, right? Tell me what might be best for me. And if it's not, know how to adjust it, know where to go next, know where to take it. Because at the end of the day, workout programs online that you could find, training programs, nutrition programs, all these things. I mean, you would just get lost in a wave and you'll just be a hamster in the wheel at the end of the day.
The way I kind of look at it is like comparing it to almost like investing. You want that person there for you on your side, because they're the professional. They know, they know all the tactics that are used on the internet. They know all the buzz stuff. They know all the catchy things, but they also know, hey, this is the smart move. This is something that's going to actually be beneficial for you. What are your goals? That's kind of the way I see it. You talked a little bit about the social media side, and talk a little bit about how once social media started to grow more, how did that impact your business?
Yeah, so social media for me has always been about, how do I deliver more knowledge? Okay, I will kill myself making content. I've been doing that since the beginning, and that's always been the jam for me. Like, get as much content out there as I can. So I got, a podcast, I got a YouTube, I got Instagram, I got all these things where we're doing all kinds of different content. I'm doing 3 posts a day on Instagram. Most of every single post that you could ever find that we do, it has something you can learn from. And I mean, that's my goal all the time, is put out as much of this as possible to kind of give people more information. I love getting on things like this with you so that we can share more knowledge and help more people. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not even about the specific client, each person, oh, hire me, all that. It's never about that. It's about, how do we get more information out so that we globally, we're helping somebody we don't even know a million miles away, that we don't even know where they're at, who they are, but they saw something, they got something out of it. I mean, that's my goal all the time. And I'll tell you, when I started, it was slow, man. I mean, I had to just put my head down, and I still do this to this day. I mean, I have a much larger following now, but I'm always putting my head down and just saying, you know what? I'm not going to worry about the follows, the likes, the comments, any of that. It's all about, all right, there's one person out there. There's one person out there. There's somebody that's going to get it. And if they don't now, they'll look back on something I did 3 years ago and they'll find it and they'll get something then. So it's been about just like put my head down, make the content, create the content, do all that, because I think it's really important. If you're going to try to do an online business or any business these days, you got to be, constantly checking in with yourself. And like, that's what you do when you make content. When you just go out there to write a post, you're saying, all right, I'm going to teach somebody about this. I'm going to talk about this today. I'm going to talk about macros, or I'm going to talk about training or something. You're putting your own knowledge to the test at that point, and you're constantly reviewing. All right, where am I at here? Cool. That's good. That sounds good. What do I know that other people don't know? That's been a thing for me with content all the time, is I would always want to do it when I started way too in depth, like how me and you could talk about it, or how I could talk to another trainer with a lot of experience or something like that, where I'd be like, yeah, what about this muscle, and it inserts here and it attaches there, and if we train it with this angle, we'll be able to do this if we couple this amount of protein with those carbs, and nobody wants to hear that. It came down to me really understanding, what is my audience? What do people want to know? And what can I tell them that's actually going to be helpful? Because people only digest what they can intake, right? And so that's really what it came down to was social media. And it was just like, all right, don't worry about any of the other stuff. Do the content, teach, teach, teach.
How do you keep yourself up to date? What do you use to keep yourself up to date on the newest, research, newest stuff coming out? What do you listen to or read or that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm doing certifications as much as I can. Okay. Anytime that I can do another certification to learn something else, I'm doing it. And I mean, I'm doing this still. People always ask me, why are you still doing this? Why are you renewing your stuff? Why are you trying to do CEUs, all that? It's because I just want to keep on top of the knowledge, keep knowing what's out there. So I'll research my own stuff. I'll keep an eye on the new science. I like to use a lot of PubMed and things like that, where I can research, new studies that are going on with different supplements, whatever. And, I just keep on top of the science myself. But I will tell you, most of my method and what I do and what I teach my trainers, coaches to do that work under me, it comes a lot from the experience, man. Like the experience is the golden ticket to helping people get results or helping them in any form. Because at the end of the day, book smart is one thing, street smart in the game of training is totally different. Because I could have, had all sorts of certifications before I started coaching. And I remember I did have a couple and I didn't use anything in the day job. I was like, whoa. I read all these books. I knew all this stuff. I, passed these exams and did all this, but none of this is actually what I'm doing day to day. Right. So what am I doing that? And a lot of it comes from experience and seeing, all right, this worked with this person. Why did that happen? Kind of reverse engineering what happened, how it worked, and then where you could apply that on a more global scale to if you encounter someone that, is having the same issue. Maybe it could be this, or, a lot of tools in the toolbox is the way I'll put it. The more tools you got, the better it can be. And a lot of times you only find those tools when you have done it, with a lot of people.
Yeah, that's, I think, one of the cool things about working with so many different populations. You get to, experience the competitor. You get to experience the everyday kind of average Joe who just wants to, live a little bit healthier. You get to experience different age groups, different, male versus female. You get all that kind of cool stuff as far as the mental side, the physical side, and it definitely does play a role in your development.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is most of the stuff that we use, in today's world, was reverse engineered. Even the stuff they teach in the textbooks, the training certs and all that, they didn't necessarily know how to do the deadlifts and the squats. They looked to the people that were doing them. They looked at the people that did them the best and said, how do they do it the best? What are these things? How does that build a mechanic? And I mean, that's really the reverse engineering process that is always being done to kind of evolve the fitness industry, right? And that's what we always think about when, even if you look back to I always talk about Arnold era, because that's where a lot of fitness stuff came from. Arnold's one book. I mean, who was Arnold, right? Back then when he made the encyclopedia, he was the best bodybuilder in the world, but he had no actual other knowledge really, other than that, like the fact that he did it. And that's how everybody then for years and still today kind of went about contest prep and bodybuilding and all that was like, all right, well, Arnold did this, so we'll do that. And, but then we look at a lot of the things now, a lot of stuff they did that they had zero idea was working for whatever reason. It just worked. And now we can look at the science and say, all right, well, this makes sense. They did do this. They did a lot of heavy compounds. They ate protein, in the amounts they needed to eat it. They didn't know why any of this stuff specifically worked in relation to science. They just kind of figured it out as they went. But now since that time, we've been able to reverse engineer it. And we can do that, all the way back to the beginning, starting days of strong, circus strongman, Eugene Sandow, all these guys lifting barbells in a circus show because it was only a circus act at the time. It was a freak show to be able to lift weights. But you look back and those guys were doing the exercise we do in the gym today. And so, you start thinking about how all these things applied, and it just has a trail that goes forever.
How do you see it, continuing to evolve, the world of training, the world of online training in your business in the next, 5, maybe 10 years?
Yeah. So I think online training is going to grow, man. It's like, it's like Bitcoin. You got to get in early. But, the thing is a lot of people talked, in the beginning, like I told you, nobody said it was possible. And I saw in this last year, all kinds of people, with everything that's gone on, gyms closed, all that, trainers couldn't train their clients. They had to find another way. A lot of trainers within this last year, and probably still right now, because I know gyms are still closed around the world in some places, they became online trainers, or they don't train anybody. And how does that work, right? So, I mean, even from the standpoint of, even if you don't want to do it on a crazy mass scale, like my goal has always been like, train as many people as we can in the world. That's my goal. Like even people that are not coming to us for training, how do we help them? But a lot of people are like, hey, how do I pay my rent this month? What can I do as a trainer here? That's fine. You can do all that online. And I think that this really opened doors for people this year, this whole thing that's happened where you can see that now as, all right, well, it was possible. It can be done. I teach how many of my clients this year, hey, you know what? We might not have the gym, but it's cool. The principles we do in the gym are just things we can also do at home. If you know what you're doing, you know how to program, you know how to do it. We don't need the gym. It's not a magic machine in there. It's the same protocols and process we're doing here. So, on a lot of scales, I think that online training is only going to grow because I think a lot of the world had to go online this past year. And I think it's really shown a lot of people something different can be done. And I mean, it's crazy to think going back when I was starting it, everybody told me I was crazy. Most people would say you're crazy now if you don't have some type of online presence. If you don't have, even if you're a trainer in the gym, if you don't have an Instagram, you don't have some kind of podcast, you don't have this and that, like, what are you doing then? How are you going to continue to grow? How are you going to make your brand, your business? That's really what it comes down to. So I think it's going to grow more and more. For my business personally, my goals are always, sky's the limit, man. Like I'm trying to do the craziest stuff I can. My goal, I'll say it I haven't said it on a podcast before, but I'll say it here. My goal, for Team Flex is to make sure that no matter who you are in the world, when you decide that you got any type of fitness goal and you need a coach, you at least know we exist. I don't care if you're going to come get the service or buy it. Though, Team Flex is there. Contest prep, Team Flex. Got to lose weight, Team Flex. You got to build muscle, Team Flex. That's my goal. Everybody to know omnipresence. In other words, that no matter what, we're in the space. We're a well-known brand. We're well-known for helping people, not because we might have, the highest rates or we might have the best clients or whatever, the most awesome transformations or competitors, but just because we help people. And that's really my goal.
As personal trainers and, people in the world of health and fitness and diet and all this stuff, I think it's just, we have to make people more aware of our services, of how we can help them, of how just small lifestyle changes can make the world of a difference.
Yeah. And that's been another big part of what, you just asked me about my next 5-10 years. Part of that actually entails, a side kind of business I do where I help coaches and I help trainers, kind of try to build their online presence, build their brand, get to the next level with that, do all that stuff. That's really going to probably end up being one of my end games. You know what I mean? If you think of it that way, where I'll end up, I'll probably do less and less of the fitness coaching as years go and, let my staff take that over mostly and do a lot more of that and get more onto the business side. How do I make, coaches better? How do I help coaches do their business better? How do I teach them the same things? Because at the end of the day, like my goal that I just told you is great for this name of the brand and all that. But my real goal is, to help as many people as possible in the world. And obviously, no matter what, as much as I can perfect that, as much as you might know, okay, you're going to consider us the Coke of the fitness industry, like you just put it, that's great. But how do I help more people? And that's by getting more people that can do the same type of stuff that we can do, on a grander scale, make coaches better, take great coaches that are in gyms that know nothing about online and teach them how to get online so they can take, their 50 clients they got in the gym and turn it into 500 online, things like that. So that's another thing that I think is very important. And I think, stuff like this, these podcast things that you're doing, man, are great because they help people learn more. They help people do more because at the end of the day, that's what we need. We need, not only clients to be more educated, but we need coaches that can be more educated, people that can take that and really turn it into a global change. I mean, we were talking earlier in this podcast about these diseases that people have, obesity and diabetes, all these types of things that can be changed with a healthy lifestyle. It comes from lack of information because we have lack of people willing to learn the information and then lack of people that might have it that don't know how to deliver it.
I'm happy about the direction it's going. I think social media certainly, even though, there are some downsides to social media, there's some bad messages out there, I think it's still doing an overall positive thing to just increase people's awareness, to, spread the positivity that is health and fitness, the benefits of it, not just, saying, hey, let's do it. It's allowing people that aren't, necessarily in the business of fitness to show, hey, this is how it's helping my life. And so I think, I think those good things are being spread. And I think those messages are being, are helping out to increase the awareness and also, bring people to to fitness in general.
100%. And I think, at the end of the day, it's going to be a world where by choice or not, everybody's going to have to get more involved in fitness. Like that's the thing. That's where we're heading in every facet of what we got in life. As the world continues to go, as time goes on, more and more people are coming up with health problems that could be corrected by learning the stuff that we used to know. It's crazy when you really look at the evolution of mankind. It seems like we knew more about how to take care of ourselves way back, like way back, when we didn't have Google, when we didn't have all this knowledge, when we didn't have the entire, all the knowledge we have in the world right here on a device. When we didn't have that, people almost knew more about how to take care of themselves. And I think that we're going to see that revert back. And I mean, some of what's going on this past year with everything that's gone on, the shutdown, the virus, all that stuff. I mean, a lot of people then clicked in and said too, whoa, I got to watch my health because like what's coming around next? What's going to be the next thing? How do I take better care of myself? And so I think no matter what, we're going to see the whole fitness industry grow and more people learning and more people getting where they want to be, which all around is a great thing.
Definitely a big point there you made about COVID and how it has definitely made people more aware. And I think that's another thing that we need to push is becoming healthier for the immune system, for just a better, stronger body. And with that being said, just, like you said, reverting back to being smarter about how we move and moving. And even though we're living in this culture of, sit down culture and while we, sitting while we work and sitting when we get home and not being active, I think there's a lot of good to moving back to that. The kind of, I think that's coming, back a little bit, certainly in a good way. So what kind of advice would you have for somebody out there, like, that was in the situation you were in, maybe in high school, in college, whatever it may be, everybody's not in the same exact situation, but, maybe not as extreme maybe as you are in, but just overweight or out of shape, wants to get back in shape. What advice would you have for somebody like that?
Yeah. So my advice would be start now. Right. Like everybody, as much as the information that is out there, it can also cripple you. Okay. If you're sitting out there looking for, oh man, I need to get the right coach. I gotta, investigate 50 different coaches, or I might start a new diet. I need to read 100 different diet plans. I need to do this and that. There's so much information out there, but it can also be a crutch to not get anything done. Right. So I say, if you got something you need to do, if you're in the spot where it's time to make a change, get a goal, get where you want to be, start now. If you're overweight, take a walk right now. Like literally right now, as you listen to the podcast, I hope you're listening to this while you're walking. But if you're not, go take a walk right now. Start now. Get something done now. You eat a healthy meal now. Do a push-up right now. Do whatever you can do that is the first step, because no matter where you're at in your journey, and this goes for someone that's 100 pounds overweight to somebody who's trying to do their contest prep. They're already kind of in good shape, whatever, right? You could say, it doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. Your goal is never going to be easy. Your goal is always going to be a challenge. That's why it's a goal, right? If you already had it, wouldn't be a damn goal. It's something you got to go get. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to test you physically. It's going to test you mentally. You're not going to wake up one day, in other words, and be like, today's the day. I'm going to feel great. I'm going to do it. It's going to be awesome. I'll feel really good after. Most of the time, you're not going to feel that way, right? Most of the time, you got to say, I'm clicking in. I got to get things done. And how you kind of start doing that is momentum, right? You just start right away, which is why I'm saying, like, hey, if you're listening and you're in that spot where you're not taking those steps, start right now. Because after you do that walk that I just said, or after you do a set of 10 squats or something like that I just said, you're going to have this little bit of something in you that says, whoa, all right. That's a little bit of progress. We just moved a little closer. That feels good. I'm doing something. I'm not stuck. I'm not in my misery or in the spot I don't want to be. I'm in a place now where, all right, let's do another set of squats. Let's take another walk. How am I going to do my meals tomorrow? And every day that you do a little bit better, you do a little bit better that next day. You do a little bit better that next day. It grows and grows and goes. And eventually you're in a life that you didn't fathom. You got all your goals that you already achieved, and you're setting new ones that if you look back on that person, whatever amount of time it took you, there's no way you can even relate to them. And literally it's a mindset that gets changed by momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That compound interest, if you want to, throw it back to the investing thing, but just small things day by day do really make a difference. And the fact that, if you do go take a walk right now or do, a set of squats. It's hard to believe if you're not sitting kind of where we're sitting right now with with that knowledge and with that experience that it will actually make a difference, but it really will make a difference. And it won't, like you said, it's not going to change your whole world doing that one set, but it's going to push you in the right direction. It's going to build that momentum.
Yeah, in fact, I have a story that relates to a moment for how I ended up losing 100 pounds the first time anyway. It's what I call the cookie moment. Okay. So anybody listening, this is a moment that I had on my own journey. All right. So when I decided I was going to lose weight, I knew I had to change my diet. I had studied a lot about diet and I realized, all right, there's something to this. I'm not going to be able to lose weight unless I figure out proteins, carbs, fats, calories overall. I got to figure out what I'm doing here. And so one day, I was going through, the kitchen, the house, whatever. And there's like a bunch of cookies out my mom had brought home or something like that. Right. And I was like, all right, cool. Bunch of cookies. Normally the old version of me would be, getting down with these cookies, man. You're going to have as many as I want, not paying attention to calories, not even knowing what's in the damn things. Right. And so I picked it up and I literally looked at it and then I smelled it for a second. You can smell that cookie and you're like, damn, this is going to be a good cookie. And I was like, you know what though? That doesn't smell like my goals. That doesn't smell like results. That doesn't smell like where I want to be going. And I know if I go down this path again, I'm going to end up in the same spot I've been. So, I put that cookie down right there, didn't pick it back up, went about my entire day, man, went about from there on. And I swear that one moment, that literal like realization of, okay, this choice makes a difference, is actually what propelled me to get anywhere. And if you want to go down the rabbit hole, that's what eventually led me to becoming a trainer. And that's what eventually led me to getting online. That's what eventually led to Team Flex. That's what eventually led to thousands and thousands of successful transformations and coaches under me and all that. Right. It all comes down to literally one moment. And that's why I say, the first step's the first step. Get the first step down. That was the first step for me to realize this is the difference. And you don't really know the impact of the smallest choices you can make.
Wow, that's pretty crazy to have know that was it. That's a really cool thing to have for people out there listening that can take place today. If you're if you're down about where you are, just make a change. Do something a little bit different than what you did yesterday, and it will make a difference when you make those changes every day. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we kind of head out here and let the people know where they can find you?
Honestly, man, I think we covered a lot of good stuff here. I mean, as long as people by now, if you've been listening since we just talked about doing something, you're still not doing something, you got to do something. That's what I would say. And I mean, literally everybody, even if you are already getting your goals done, do something, do a little extra, do another step that'll get you further, right? Because that's another thing that's important to say, I think, actually, now I'm getting an idea here, is that, even if you've attained those goals, don't stop going for new ones, okay? Because that's where we can all get caught, right? You could lose 100 pounds like me and you can gain 100 back. You could end up, deciding that you want to achieve some great goal that was important to you, sport or something like that. And then you could end up not playing anymore. You can do this with any facet of life. And I guess that's where I would go to, is my kind of like closing note to everybody, is the fitness and the reason that I really became a coach overall that has led me all this way down this path was because I realized the things that I learned on my fitness journey were not only valuable for fitness or for teaching other people fitness, they're actually valuable for life. They're literally the principles that you'll go about, the things you'll learn, the constant mental battle, the physical battle, the learning you got to do, the understanding. You keep talking about how this relates to, investing and all that. Well, look at how that works, right? The stuff that you learn going on a goal and achieving it, whether it's fitness or anything else, the principles are all the same. And that can echo across miles and miles of your life, right? You could literally take what you learned doing a fitness goal and build a business, or you could get a raise at work, or you could figure out how to save more money, or you could do whatever you got a goal in life for. The process really becomes the same once you realize that you have that potential and that power that you can really unlock at any point in time. And the crazy thing is, it's not a light switch that you can flip on or off. It comes from the process. It comes from getting involved. It comes from doing something, learning something, seeing it through, and understanding, hey, you know what? This is something that can be done. This is something I can do. That first set of squats could turn into your own business 5 years down the road and you didn't even know it.
Absolutely. I love it. And one of the most important things, I think, like you talked about, is the process, is the kind of the the character building aspect of fitness, because it is a struggle, and it's, it's doing the right thing instead of doing the easy thing, and it's all those great things that develop good character, and helps us to lead, I think, better lives overall. So yeah, I completely agree with that. And yeah, I really like what you said there.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you for having me on here.
Absolutely. And if you just want to let the people know where they can find you, and how they can connect with you, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so we're on all social media at Team Flex, Team FFLEX. You can check out there. I got different content, obviously that's teaching you guys about everything we've talked about here today, more in depth even out there. And we also do offer a free coaching trial for anybody that wants, a little bit extra. You want to learn something, you want to see something, come in and take it. That's what I tell people. Like, I'm not trying to sell you. It's not a sell you on a trial thing. It's come in, let me teach you something. Hopefully you take it and do good things with it, eventually. So yeah, we offer that. It's on our website at teamfflex.com. But really, that's where you can connect. Ask me any questions anytime, whatever you got, I'm happy to answer it. That's what I do day in, day out.
Awesome, man. Well, appreciate your time, and good luck in the future with your business and with everything moving forward, and stay safe out there. It's a crazy world, but really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Alrighty. Thank you for joining us today. It was a really great episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something from it. A lot of great knowledge and experience from Ryan there, from Team Flex, doing a lot of great work. And don't forget to subscribe to the Weight Room wherever you listen: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and then just basically anywhere else you find podcasts, it will be there. So until next time, have a great day, and I'm out.